Hi Paradise family. So today we're here to learn how to make the Julia clutch and crossbody. And she is too stinking cute. She does come in crossbody form. She has a front pocket here that has card slots on the inside, a slip pocket in the back, and then on the inside she's just big enough to hold your essentials, but then she also has a zipper pocket on the inside as well. A very unique design purse. I'll kind of show you crossbody wise. Of course, you can make your crossbody as long or as short as you want to. So this was the first one that I made. And I did the connectors just a little bit different. I added my connectors to the back rather than here on the side because I didn't have 3/8 inch D-rings. So I chose to do something a little bit different. Same thing with the second one that I made. I love this print. This print comes from the Peanut Gallery on Marketplace. And then the hardware zippers I got from Wall Whack. Now this one I did a little bit different. I did it with a chain strap. But again, I added those connectors here on the back rather than on the side. That was just a design choice on my part to do it that way. But the one that we're going to be making today is this one here. I love this rose gold. This is small skin leather from Tandy Leather. And again, she's got that zipper pocket here on the front with those card slots, slip pocket on the back, and then on the inside she has a zipper pocket as well. You do want to work with material that is pliable. You don't want to work with anything that's too stiff. So the leather that I'm using is a very thin, pliable leather. You can see it's very thin. This is genuine or real leather. It's got a little bit of stretch to it, not too much, but this is called small skin leather and you can get it at Tandy Leather and it comes in different varieties. You can get it bossed or plain, different colors. A dream to sew with, very easy. I sew it on my Juki with no problems, but I do love that. So one thing that I did a little bit different with this one though is I added those connectors here on the side. I felt comfortable enough to add them with rivets on the side like this because I am using leather and you're not going to put a whole lot of weight in this bag, so I felt like it would be perfect for it. So you can kind of see that. Very cute, very classy looking. The top part here does not get top stitched, which is why it's so very important to work with material that's pliable, that you can easily form. I do take a pair of seam pliers and I really press my seams out real good so that it'll hold its shape. And again, my zippers, those zippers come from Wall Whack. Very cute. It's definitely a unique design. So your exterior piece ends up being one whole piece that you then put together. And we'll discuss all of that in the video. But super cute. I absolutely love it. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, at this point you should have all of your pieces interfaced, stabilized, ready to go. One other piece that you should have ready is piece K, which is our card slots. You should have those folded into your accordion style. You should also have piece KK stabilized on the back. The stabilizer that's for the card slot isn't 100% necessary, but it does make the card slots look a lot neater and a lot more crisp. But if you want to leave those out, you can. So first thing that we're going to need to do after you have your accordion style folded, you'll want to start by top stitching the top part of your stabilizer or the top part of your card slots. So all 4 of these need to be top stitched. After you top stitch them, you're going to also sew a line down the center of piece K and also base stitch the outside of piece K. After you base stitch on the outside of piece K, you'll want Okay, so we should now have our card slots Okay, so now we should have the exterior part of our bag sewn. All right, guys, I apologize for the small technical difficulty. Hopefully I was able to write everything on the screen of what I was doing and how to create that outside exterior panel, as well as sewing your zipper tabs to your 8.5-inch zipper. So that's where we are now, is you should have your 8.5-inch zipper sewn. You should have your card slot piece completed, as well as the exterior part of your bag. So now we want to pull out our card slots and front top trim or piece D and that 8.5-inch zipper. So first we're going to attach our zipper to our card slot, right side of zipper facing up. So wrong side of zipper to right side of card slot. Center that up with your card slot. And I'm just using some double-sided sticky tape to hold it in place. After you've done that, you may want to put some more double-sided sticky tape down, and then we're going to attach piece D, right side of panel to right side of card slots. So now we're just going to place right side of panel D to right side of card slots centered. So just like this. And now we're going to top stitch, or I'm sorry, we're going to sew along this top edge. The pattern calls for 3/8 inch seam allowance to be sewn across here. I don't particularly like doing a 3/8 seam on my zipper, so I'm going to sew this at 1/4 inch. And then we're going to pull it all up, have our seam allowance facing downwards, and top stitch it. Okay, so now we should have our top trim attached to our zipper or to our card slots with our zipper, and that zipper is facing up and top stitch along the top. So now we'll want to pull out piece I, and you'll need just one of these. Go ahead and set the other one off to the side for the moment. And you're going to attach piece I to the wrong side. So just like this, to the wrong side of your zipper. The easiest way to do this is if you take and pull back and clip your top trim out of the way. Find the center of piece I. Lay piece I down facing right side facing up, and take your zipper also right side facing up. Line up your centers, and you can base this in place or you can use some double-sided sticky tape. Either way will be fine. I'm just using some double-sided sticky tape because it's easiest for me. So just like this. Now what we'll want to do, you'll just set this to the side for just a moment. On your exterior part of your bag, you'll want to decide, do you want the wider part of B to be the front of your bag, or do you want the more narrow part of B to be the front of your bag? I've chosen for the more narrow part of B to be the front of my bag. So I'm going to mark a T on here, just a little T at the top. I'm going to grab my card slot piece, add a line of double-sided sticky tape. I'm going to attach the exterior part of my bag on the side where I marked that T to this part here, centered. Okay, so then you should have something that looks like this here with your card slots sandwiched in between those two pieces. So now you're going to sew this at 3/8 inch seam allowance. As I mentioned before, I don't like to sew 3/8 where I've got a zipper. I like to have a little bit of a wider opening. So I'm going to sew mine at 1/4 inch, and it's not going to affect the outcome of the bag. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll turn and fold our pieces wrong sides together and top stitch them. Okay, so now we should have something that looks like this. So this is the front part of our bag. This is the back side. And we have that piece I attached to our zipper pocket and then top stitched to the front part of our bag. So now we need to close up our zipper pocket here for our card slots. So we want to take and match up our seams so that our zipper stands up nice and tall. Okay, so we don't want it to where it's going to lay flat like this. We want it to where it's going to stand up. So we're going to match up those two seams. Go ahead and put a clip on there to hold that. Okay, and now we just want to run just a basting stitch, just about an inch or so down from the top, just enough to hold it in place. So now what we need to do is we need to close up this pocket all together. So you're going to line up your centers for your both pieces. Okay, and then we want to sew just about an inch starting up here at the short side. And we're going to sew all the way around the curve, around the other curve, and back up the other side at 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now that we have our pocket sewn in place and we have it closed 3/8 inch seam allowance, we now want to close up these sides here. So we're just going to take and clip it to the exterior part of our bag. And then we're just going to run a basting stitch down this to close up the rest of our pocket. And then after we do that, we're going to take and trim off all of this excess. I'll use a pair of pinking shears, but you can use just a pair of regular scissors. Okay, so now we should have a zipper pocket that is completed and closed up with our card slots in there. And on the back side, you should have it now nice and trimmed away and basted here on the edges. So set this to the side for just a moment. We'll be needing it in the next step. Go ahead and pull out piece I, which is slip pocket type 1, back top trim E, and slip pocket type 2 or piece J. We're going to start off with piece J and top back trim E. And this is where we'll be creating that slip pocket in the back of the purse. So go ahead and find your centers on E. Go ahead and run you a line of double-sided sticky tape, or you can just use clips to hold these in place. And now we're going to place piece E, which is our top trim, and we want to do our straight edge along our straight edge. All right, and then sew this at 3/8 inch seam allowance and then top stitch it. Okay, so just like that. Go ahead and set this piece to the side. Grab out piece I and your completed exterior piece. Same as before, go ahead and add you some double-sided sticky tape along the top straight edge. Attach your piece I right sides together with right side of exterior panel. Sew this at 3/8 inch seam allowance. Turn it out to where your pieces are going to be wrong sides together and top stitch it. Okay, so now we should have that front slip pocket sewn and top stitched. So now what we want to do is we want to lay this piece flat. Okay, so it's nice and flat here. And then we want to take our completed back panel with that piece E attached, and we want to line up our pockets. Okay, so to where our bottom pieces are lined nice and even. Clip those in place. And then you want to grab the whole thing and turn it up. Do just one fail swoop of turning it up. Make sure that those pockets are still nice and straight and aligned. And then pop you a clip or two here on the side of the bag. Okay, so just like this. And then just lay it over flat again. Make sure that that pocket is still laying nice and flat and that your edges are aligned. So just like we did with our front zipper pocket, we're going to add a couple of base stitches right here just to hold this in place on either side. And then we're going to turn it over, sew our zipper pocket together at 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then trim that down, and then base stitch the rest of our pocket to our side panel. Okay, so now our exterior piece should be complete with that slip pocket in there. She does have you do some additional top stitching here along the sides to kind of close up your slip pocket a little bit on the sides. I choose not to do that little bit of top stitching, but you're more than welcome to. And so basically you're just going to come out a few stitches here on the side, down, and then back up. Like I said, I just choose not to do that top stitching. So for now, take a moment to look at your bag. She is cute. I see how the sides will go up there like that. Just admire her for a moment. One other thing that you could do here is add a magnetic snap to close that. Again, it's just something I choose not to, but you could add a magnetic snap to hold this slip pocket in place. Very cute. All right, go ahead and set her to the side. We want to pull out our zipper overlay or piece F, our zipper pocket. In the pattern, she has you cut 2 different zipper pocket pieces. I choose just to cut one piece. Your smallest zipper, 7-inch zipper pull, and one of your interior pieces. So let's start with just that one interior piece. Go ahead and find your centers. Go ahead and pull out your zipper overlay. And we want to measure down 1 5/8 inch from the top part of our lining panel. And then we want to place our zipper overlay center. And I just add some double-sided sticky tape to the back of mine. So just like this. So now we're going to stitch along the outside edge of our zipper overlay. After we do that, we're going to cut out this inside pocket piece here. But before we do that, go ahead and pull out your zipper pocket and your zipper. Find your center. If you haven't singed the ends of your zipper, go ahead and do that. And then find the center of your zipper. Okay, go ahead and lay down some double-sided sticky tape on your zipper pocket, end to end. Go ahead and grab your zipper, peel that backing, place your zipper centered. Okay, you're going to base stitch this side in place, turn it over, attach the other side of your zipper, and then base stitch that in place. Okay, so let's do that. Let's baste our zipper in place, and let's go ahead and top stitch our zipper overlay and cut our hole out. Okay, so now we should have two pieces that look like this. So our zipper overlay with our hole cut out of the back. You can see that backside. And then you should also have your zipper pocket base stitched to the zipper pocket itself. And then I went ahead and added some double-sided sticky tape because I know that I'm going to need it. So now what we want to do is we want to lay our zipper pocket down, and I like to take just one piece of the tape off at a time, and then center my pocket on top of my zipper. Okay, so just like this. So now what we want to do is we want to lift our zipper pocket up and out of the way, and we want to sew or top stitch starting on one side all the way across to the other side, and you want to start about 1/8 of an inch to this side and then stop 1/8 of an inch to this side and pull long tails. Okay, once you're done and you've pulled those long tails, let's go ahead and pull those tails to the back, and let's tie this off. Okay, so once you've done that, now you're going to pull your zipper pocket down all the way nice and flat. And now we're going to sew up the side, across the top, and back down the other side. We want to start and stop in our zipper holes. Okay, again, pull long threads, and then pull these to the back and tie them off. Okay, and then your zipper pocket should look like this. So now the only thing that's left for us to do is take and close up our sides. On either side, you'll just sew straight down your sides. Okay, so we should have our zipper pocket complete now. So we have it top stitched, our zipper in there, and our actual zipper pocket should now be closed up and ready to go. Go ahead and set this off to the side. We want to pull out our main exterior piece, our 12 3/4 inch zipper, your D-ring connectors. Now I'm doing something a little bit different because I'm using leather and I'm using a different type of connector. So I'm using these connectors here. So I only cut my strip 3/8 inch wide rather than the 3 1/4. But if you're doing 3 1/4 and you're using 3/8 inch D-rings, you'll just make a line down the center and fold your long edges to that center and tape them in place and then top stitch them. But because I'm using leather, I don't need to do any of that. I'm just going to simply cut this in half, and then that's ready to go for me because I can leave that leather raw. So you need your D-ring connectors and your D-rings. If you're going to use D-rings on your 12 3/4 inch zipper, you're going to make a couple of marks on this, and I'm hoping that the camera will pick this up. So from the center out, you need to make a mark that is 3 3/4 from the center on either side. And then from that 3 3/4, you need to make another mark that is 2 inches. And then in between here, you want to clip. So you want to make clips in between the zipper, in between those 2 marks. And you'll do that on all 4 sides. You can see my marks there. And then just put those clips in between there. If you're worried about the zipper fraying, you can use a little bit of fray check on those marks to keep the zipper from fraying, or you can just leave it the way that it is. I'm using a polyester zipper, so I'm not too worried about it fraying because we're only going to clip up about 1/8 of an inch into this zipper, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to leave it as it is. So the first thing that we want to do is, in the pattern, she has you attach your D-rings to your connector. Because I'm using a different type of connector, I don't need to do that. So I'm going to skip that part, but you can add those in there. So you'll add your D-rings to your D-ring connectors and sew them in place. And then attach them to your side piece here. I have found, though, that if you attach those connectors to the side of your exterior bag first, that your zipper does not fit properly going across. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and sew my zipper on either side of the zipper. So I'm going to kind of show this a little bit closer. So I like to go ahead and attach my zipper, and I'm going to sew on this side going in, not going past my zipper teeth, and then same thing on the other side. That way the zipper will fit more properly onto the side of the bag. So I'll kind of do that and show you what that looks like. So we just clip this in place and then pull out piece H. Which is your zipper tab. So zipper tab H. And we're going to sew this at the same time that we sew our zipper. So go ahead and line it up. Centered either way. And then I'll show you what I mean by just sewing the sides in place. So I have found that if I sew the D-rings in place, right, so if I was to sew all the way across, my zipper does not reach the edge of my outside. So what I've been doing is I've been sewing just on the right to my zipper teeth, on the left to my zipper teeth, and then stopping and not sewing across just yet. So then what I do is I take my D-ring. Now you should have D-ring connectors connected to your D-ring connector, but I take my D-ring connector and I slide it in between where I sewed. So just like this. So now my connector is in there, but now everything's going to line up nice and smooth. Okay, so we'll do that to the other side. So you'll take your other right side of your zipper and attach it to the other side of your lining or of your exterior main piece, just the same way we did with this side over here. And we want to sew this in place at 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then after we sew it in place at 3/8 inch seam allowance, we're going to pull everything wrong sides together and top stitch across. Okay, so we should now have our tabs top stitched to our zipper. I went ahead and started the next step. We'll need to top stitch the inside of our lining to the exterior part of our bag. In the pattern, she has you measure up 1 inch and top stitch to that 1 inch on both sides. I have found that if you do 2 inches, you have a little bit more wiggle room at the end when we go to put all of this together. So you'll want to mark 2 inches up from the bottom and make a mark, and you're going to top stitch from there up and then on the other side as well. So I've done this to the other side. I went ahead and made that 2-inch mark, as you can see here. And so we're going to top stitch down to that 2-inch mark and then on the other side down to that 2-inch mark. Now this can be a little bit fiddly, I guess you could say, because you've got kind of everything in the way. So just try and lay it nice and flat and line your edges up. And then starting at that 2-inch mark, we're just going to base stitch this in place. So just like this. Go ahead and trim your threads off. Okay, so now you should have something that looks like this. So we've got the exterior part of our bag. We have our interior zipper bag or zipper tabs attached to our exterior zipper tabs. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to attach one side of our zipper to the top of our bag. So the exterior part of your bag, right side of zipper to right side of exterior. And we're going to end up basting this zipper in place. Now, when you come down here to where your zipper tab is, you want to start sewing up to that 2-inch mark, stop, pull your zipper tab down, and then start again and baste it the rest of the way. Okay, so we'll do that on this first side first. And it doesn't matter which side you start with. So if you want to start with the back side or you want to start with the front side, it doesn't matter. But we're just going to go ahead and baste that zipper in place anywhere from between an 1/8 and a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so we should now have our zipper basted right side of zipper to right side of exterior. And then what I like to go in and do is also sew my zipper on at my seam allowance. This will allow the zipper to lay more flat when we go to add our lining piece on top. And then you can also see here on this side where I sewed up to that 2-inch mark, folded it down, and then sewed the rest of the way. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our lining pocket, and you can choose either one. I choose to do my plain side against my credit card slots, but it really doesn't matter. It's however you want to add it on there. Now I do a couple of different stitches. So the first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to pin here across the top, and I'm going to sew this straight edge first with my zipper pulls being out of the way. After I sew that straight edge at my seam allowance, I'll then end up pulling my zippers to the center and sewing this side. And then same thing on this side, I'll end up pulling my zipper to the center and sewing down this side. When you're sewing down your sides though, only sew your lining zipper tab to your lining panel. Okay, so don't sew all the way down. And your lining panel will be about a 1/2 inch longer than your zipper tab. That's by design so that when we go to close this bottom up, it'll be the right size. So again, I'll kind of say that again. So the very first stitch that I make is across the top. So I'll sew across the top first, and then I will close one side of my zipper up, sew up the side and around meeting where I stopped my stitches, and then sew again on the other side, sew up and around to where my stitches stopped there, and then making sure that I'm not catching this lining tab to my exterior piece. Okay, so we should now have our lining attached to our exterior with that zipper sandwiched in between. And you can see where I sewed up this side of my exterior and then I sewed up the side of my interior separate. Again, having a little bit of extra room down here at the bottom will make a huge difference for us. So now we want to reach in here and turn this right side out. So you can kind of get an idea of what our bag is starting to look like now. And so with that nice tight zipper on there, we won't need to top stitch any of this. And of course, using vinyl or really thin leather will make a difference. Now, if you're, I don't know if you can kind of see this, but where I'm starting to get little bubbles or buckles, you may want to go in and put clips into your rounded part here in your leather or your vinyl, just to keep it from doing that. I'm going to end up actually using a pair of seam clampers, these here, at the end to really push this down and make it a lot smoother. But this doesn't get top stitched, so you'll definitely want to use something to make those corners nice and round and get everything to lay nice and flat, which is why it's important to use a vinyl that's a little bit on the thinner side. Okay, so now we're going to kind of flip it to where it's wrong side out again. So just like this. So if you kind of look at it this way, this is our lining. This is the back side of our exterior piece. And so we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before. We're going to open our zipper up. We're going to baste our zipper to our exterior panel. So just like before, we're going to sew our top first, pull our zippers out of the way, sew up our side on our exterior part, and then moving that lining out of the way and sewing the rest of the way. And then we'll add our lining pocket the same manner that we did for this lining pocket. Okay, so we should now have our other lining piece attached to our exterior piece with that zipper sandwiched in between and not yet quite yet sewn to the rest of the exterior just yet. Of course, you can see I have that overhang here. So now we want to reach in here, turn this right side out. Make sure it all looks good. Kind of give it a good once over. Make sure you caught all your seams. Okay, so it should look something like this now once you turn it wrong side out. So next what we want to do is we want to unzip our zipper. This part gets a little difficult because it's all kind of sewn together one piece, but we want to take and shove, it's the best way I can describe it, but shove your exterior down and kind of out of the way. And you can see having that extra room here really makes a difference. So just kind of take and push all that exterior and lining out of the way. I'm going to kind of pull in there and just pull all that down so that you can expose the lining part of this. So now what we want to do is we want to line up our center of our lining piece. Okay, so now we want to sew. This is kind of difficult here, but kind of move some stuff out of the way to show you. So we want to sew from one end to about 2 or 3 inches in on either side. We do need to leave a hole for turning it right side out. So we're going to sew this. So let me do that actually with you. Okay, once we have that, those side pieces sewn, and we've left a hole in the center, the next thing that we need to do is close up our side parts as well. So you can see here, we still have this side part here that's unsewn. So we're just going to kind of fold it all back out. Try and get it as nice and flat as you can. This is the part where I'm not very good at it, so I just do the best that I can. Give it a little clip there. So we would just want to pin that side portion and open your seams up on either side. So just like this on either side. And then we're going to sew across here at 3/8 inch seam allowance. We're going to reach in here in our hole that we left open, turn everything right side out, and then we'll take a look at her. All right, so we've got our bag made. Of course, I showed you this at the beginning of the video. She came out fantastic. You can definitely see by leaving a little bit more room on the inside away from the exterior that it makes it a lot easier to sew that bottom portion and being able to then add your side portion to your bottom portion to then make that corner part. I just feel like if you do the 2 inches rather than the 1 inch, you definitely have plenty of room in there. Now what you could do is after you sew your inside pieces, the bottom to the sides, you could then take and attach those sides to your exterior part here. I just leave it the way that it is, and I'll kind of show you how that looks on the inside. So you can kind of see that in there. So it definitely doesn't make a difference if you do the 1 inch or the 2 inch. The 2 inches is just going to give you a little bit more room to be able to maneuver things around and being able to sew that and then sew it closed. I absolutely love the way that she came out. I'm so sorry about the beginning part of the bag. Hopefully the descriptions that I'm putting in there, you're able to follow along and tell exactly what it was that I was trying to do. My microphone died, and so there was no way for me to re-record those portions of the video. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and hit that bell so that you can get all notifications in the future. She came out absolutely adorable, and I hope you'll love her too.